I don't know if you heard about this, guys, but there are some groundbreaking discoveries happening in Israel right now. And today I'm gonna take you on a journey to see it firsthand. I will also show you my 3D reconstruction of what has been found. And believe me, this changes a lot as to our understanding of the biblical story. But that's not all, because we will visit some really ancient tunnels, some secret tunnels that have been just discovered. And finally, we will also revisit the Valley of Darkness, the legendary valley where so many stories happened in the Bible. We will walk through this ancient valley that is in Jerusalem. So guys, make yourself a nice cup of tea, sit comfortably in your chairs, and enjoy this journey. So first, let's talk about topography so you know where we are and where we are going. This is the area where the ancient city of David was located. This is where we're gonna be traveling around. Next, we can see the iconic Jewish cemetery on the Mount of Olives, the walls of today's old city on the Western Hill. We also see the Temple Mount, the Western Wall area, the Kidron Valley, through which we will travel in the later part of the video, and finally, and most importantly, the recent discoveries at the Pool of Siloam. So this episode is actually the second part of a recording I did when I visited the city of David some time ago. And if you haven't seen that first part, I highly recommend for you to see it, because I visit some really cool places like the Temple of Melchizedek. So I will leave a link to that episode in the description of this video. But in this episode, we will continue this journey, visit the Pool of Siloam, visit some ancient tunnels, and then go back through the Kidron Valley up to the Mount of Olives. So let's zoom in a little bit more just for you to have a clear understanding where we are starting. And the last time I finished my video somewhere around here. And now we're gonna continue our journey south until we reach the Pool of Siloam. So if we travel to about 800 BC, the place where we start the journey is about here, and we will continue until we will reach the Pool of Siloam at the bottom of the city of David. So this is where we are going. Okay, so let's begin our exciting journey in Jerusalem. This is, that's why Israel is so special, because you are stepping on the same stones we read about in the Bible. If you imagine the heroes, David, Solomon, Samuel, Zadok, this is where it happened. And even here, as we are on this hill, so we're not like in the valley yet. You'll see that the valley is down there, and even here it's quite a steep mountain, a ridge upon which a city was built. So those buildings, they are standing on probably buildings that were built here in year 1000 BC, and even earlier if we're talking about the Canaanites. So really, really ancient stuff. And of course, Abraham, the first real superhero of both Jews and Christians, he was here too, about 2000 BC. So you see the sign now, it shows you the direction towards the Pool of Siloam. So this whole place is divided into areas, and we are entering now area E. So, of course, this whole place is not excavated yet. They excavated some parts of it, but there's still many, many things to be found here. And I'm sure they will. You see this like a window opening? This is ancient tombs that they found at the bottom of the city of David. So if we're talking where David was buried, he probably was buried in this area.
Of course, on the other side, we have what is Mount of Olives. Of course, when you think about Mount of Olives, this is not what you imagine, because you think of a massive graveyard, and the graveyard is over there. But this is a continuation of Mount of Olives. Today, there is an Arab neighborhood called Sylvan here, but those houses, those Arab houses, are built on ancient burial sites from Iron Age. So obviously this has changed a lot from the ancient times. You can see some of the pictures showing you how it could have looked. Song of Songs, I said, I will climb up into the palm tree. So we're gonna walk there and you will be able to see some of the ancient tombs, because people were buried here since the Iron Age. A very ancient site. Always Jewish people buried people on this part of the mountain and not in this part. Well, David was an exception, because we read that he was buried in the city of David. But a lot of people were also buried on the Mount of Olives. So once again, you can see the city of David from this perspective and the Temple Mount. But we're going to continue to the Pool of Siloam. So there's going to be a and people are living here. So imagine living in the city of David, where the ancient king lived. It's quite extraordinary. It's not very convenient to live here, because it's very steep and you have to walk a lot of steps, because cars can't really drive in this place. And there is one road, but it's very, very steep. So it's not a perfect living condition. But then you get a bonus. You live where King David lived. So excuse me.
This is very
So we're I hope the Pool of Siloam is still open, because everything is kind of closing down now. It's past 4, but hopefully we'll be able to enter. Have the ticket. Need to get a ticket to see the inside of the hill and then the Pool of Siloam. And they're doing amazing discoveries here too, so we'll see it in a moment, because it has changed dramatically since the last time I was here. So you'll see it in a moment, and I think it's open. So that's the sign over here, Pool of Siloam, and this is basically the Kidron Valley over here. So we'll continue that way in a moment.
You have a ticket?
Yes.
Okay, just a second.
Toda. So, as you can see, the last time I was here, they just started excavating this place. But now, they're pretty deep down here. So, you will be able to see how much progress they made. And every day things are changing here, because they're digging, and they can't find the bottom of this. So if you can imagine, this is where the Pool of Siloam originally, they were up to where those stones end. That's what they discovered.
So guys, if you visited this place 2 years ago, you would only see those stones up to here. The other place where the excavations are happening now it would be all covered with dirt. I will show you that in a moment.
And here in this place was a hill basically, and it was owned by an Orthodox church.
Okay guys, so let's have a look from the above to understand what is actually happening. So here you can see the area of the excavation. As visible on the picture, it is all covered with dirt, trees, bushes. It was all covered and not seen before the excavation started. So if you come here 2 years ago, you would only see those steps I was showing you just a minute ago. And the red arrow shows you the direction we entered this excavation complex, going down from the city of David. So once again, a view 2 years ago on this place from a drone. And here again is my visit to this place 2 years ago when the excavation did not start. So you can see the steps, and they believed this is how it's gonna be. So you can see the steps again and this wall of dirt that was covering everything. So that's how it looked 2 years ago. And now it looks like this.
So the Antiquities Authority, they purchased it and were able to start digging it. And they believe that they're gonna find something similar to this, that it's gonna continue like that. But no, that's not exactly what they found. And if we look here, you'll see that there are like rooms over here. So definitely what they were able to confirm is that this wall over here is a wall that was created here to retain water.
So you see that wall over here? That was a giant dam that was created here to retain water coming down from the hill. So when it was raining, water was creating like a river, and this water was accumulating at the bottom of the city of David. So they created this special dam to retain this water, and the people of the city could use it. And it looks like in the ancient times this was an important water source for the people of Jerusalem. But that's not all. They tested the elements found that were used for the creation of this dam, and with carbon dating, they were able to determine that this dam dates to 800 BC. Now, if you remember, King Hezekiah built the Siloam Tunnel, which directed the water from the Gihon Spring to a valley at the bottom of the city of David. And this is where Hezekiah built the famous Pool of Siloam, of which we read in the Tanakh and also in the New Testament. But before King Hezekiah built his own tunnel, there was an even more ancient tunnel functioning. This tunnel also directed the water from the Gihon Spring, but it also enabled the water to get out to the Kidron Valley to water the so-called King's Gardens, of which we also read in the Bible. And this is the tunnel I traveled when I recorded the first part of this video. So if you want to check it out again, you can just watch the first part of my video, of which you will find a link in the description of this video. But the dam they have just found is not from a Canaanite period and is not from Hezekiah period. It's from 800 BC, so 100 years before Hezekiah. So around 800 BC, there already was some kind of reservoir here where people would gather water. And the dam they have just found was an important element to keeping that water in this location. So it's very cool they found it, and they're still digging, so they might find some more stuff, but already they know that there was here something 800 BC. Alright, so let's go back to the tour.
So definitely a water pool was here.
And I just want to comment on something. I visited this place before you had a big release from the Israeli Antiquities Authority. This is how it looked even before their announcement. So you can see it still, a lot of things are being worked on.
So, I mean, if you come here in a month, it might look totally different. So, this is spectacular. And this is why I love Jerusalem, because there's so much history under every stone, under every piece of land. It just goes on and on and on. And it's always exciting to see those new things. So in this area, I will show you one more thing that I want to share with you. And then we'll continue through the Kidron Valley. Okay guys, so once again, we're gonna return here after some time. It will probably look very, very different. But the Pool of Siloam was important because you had ancient ceremonies done here. For example, the ceremony of pouring of water. So water was collected here because here was water from the living spring. So it was not, water gathered artificially, but let's say the living water. And that was necessary for the temple ceremony of pouring of water on the altar. And this is where it happened. So the water would be collected here, and then the priests would continue on this path that you will see in a moment. So water was collected here, you had priests collecting it, and they would continue with this water, special jars, and they would walk through the so-called Pilgrim Road, which you will see in a moment. And they also have done significant findings in this place. So you can see this drawing of the Pool of Siloam. Of course, now, as we have found a lot of new evidence that is still worked on, perhaps this drawing needs to be redesigned, because it also is a question when, from what period those square kind of blocks, rooms, or even some say mikvahs were coming from. But anyways, this is the road, the Pilgrim Road that went up to the Temple Mount. And today, of course, you have the Dome of the Rock and Al-Aqsa Mosque, but in the times of the kings, the first temple, the second temple, there was a big structure over there as called the second temple of Herod the Great. So we can have a look here, but it's not finished yet. They're again excavating this, so this is very fresh. And I'll show you in a minute where you have the exit from the pool to the pool, which initially was thought to be the Pool of Siloam. We'll come back there because there are people there now. But that's the end of the Hezekiah tunnel, so the wet tunnel. But we can walk here. Last time I was here, it wasn't open like this. So they were able to find things here in this tunnel. They were able to find coins, even from the Jewish revolt times. People were hiding here from the Romans. And you can see how it looked in the ancient times. So we're kind of walking on this ancient path now that led people from the Pool of Siloam to the Temple Mount in the Second Temple period. So this is how it looked in the past, and that's how it's looking now. And again, they're still working on it, and those are really, ancient stones I'm walking on now. Perhaps the priests that gathered the water from the Pool of Siloam walked this way. And what I'm told is that this path is not finished yet, but they're working on it. And of course, this is not its final form. Perhaps in the future, it will be turned into and opened up to create a really impressive pathway to the Temple Mount from the pool of Siloam. So this is still a project ongoing. It's not finished, and again, exciting. During the coronavirus, during the lockdowns, this kind of like started, and they're still continuing it. So you can walk here. I mean, I have no idea when it ends, actually. Perhaps it must end somewhere, because I know they're not finished with it. So there's like a tunnel here, another tunnel. But this is, of course, not the ancient Canaanite tunnel. It's a pathway that shows us. And again, look at the stones. They are very, very old. These are not modern stones we're seeing here. So here is perhaps structures that were built after the Roman destruction. So, well, I don't know if they know the purpose of those and what is this pathway, but I need to read more about it, because I haven't been here for a while, and it's really fascinating to walk here. So it's like Indiana Jones kind of, We're walking and you're kind of in a eerie place. You don't know where's the end. There's nobody here. I'm alone here. And it's kind of slippery too, so I need to watch out. But hey guys, that's doing this for you. I'm walking for you to see everything. And we're gonna get to the end of this. I hope it doesn't collapse on me. But it's going and going and going. I don't know where I'm gonna get out. Hope I won't be, doesn't lead to, the desert or something. It's how long it is. Wow, this is impressive. It's getting lower and lower now. So I don't want to crawl. Okay, we're getting somewhere, I hope. Okay, where are we? Guys, so we were like here next to the pool, and we went all this way over here. So we're like halfway to the Temple Mount. So that's impressive. And it seems like it's still continuing. So let's hope I won't be closed down. Man. Getting wet here, so still 200 meters more. So again, it shows you where you are. The picture is kind of faded, but anyways, guys, I think I'm gonna finish here. Well, let's go a little bit more. Yeah, I think I'm gonna finish here because the road gets more and more unpleasant. This is still unfinished, really. So it is not, the best experience. So they need to still work on it. But then again, it's open. It's not like you can't enter here. It's just, you gotta be careful. not to slip, because if you slip, you get this on yourself. And I'm telling you, you'll be pretty dirty.
Guys, I want to take a moment here. If you enjoyed this video, please consider just giving it a like, subscribing to the channel, hitting that bell button. That will really help me as a creator. Also, if you would like to support the channel, the best way to do it is through Patreon and PayPal. Currently, this is like the most important support for the channel because of the algorithms. The viewership of the channel has gone down, so I'm really relying on people who decide to support me personally, and the best way to do it is through Patreon and PayPal. So if you enjoy the content, you know, I make everything myself. All the 3D animations you have seen in this video even, I made myself from scratch. So it takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of money. So if you would like to support the channel and help me out, I would really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Now let's go back.
Okay, we'll see if those kids are still there. So if they are, it's gonna get loud. So mostly now, because there's no tourists in Israel, there's a lot of tours from schools to the sites. There are some tours organized for the soldiers. So it has a very different feeling. Okay, they're going this way too, so. Okay, so let's see if we can still show you the stuff. So again, that's where we went. And I would continue that path which we went. It may even lead us somewhere, you know, closer to the top. But I still want to do with you the Kidron Valley. And if I go up there, you know, there's a long walk still ahead of me. So you gotta kind of decide what you want to go and where, because so now it's nice here because there's no people here. So that was the initial pool they found, and they thought this is the pool of Siloam, and this is where the Hezekiah tunnel ends. So you go here. It's dark over there now, but you see there's water there, so it's a long tunnel. And this is how it looks when you get out. So there is water here, but then, you know, that was kind of small, and they're wondering what's going on here. So at a certain point, they started doing some renovation. I mean, there was some problem with a pipe, and they started fixing it. And as they did, they started discovering some stone steps, and eventually they found this. Another pool at the end of the city of David. So we'll go there in a moment, but I just want to show you here, they have like an exhibition here, you know, so you can imagine, like, as you were walking up, the stores were here, you could buy, purchase things. So it was a lively place. So once again, this is the drawing of the pool. That's the pool. But then, what's up with those mikvahs? You know, mikvot, the square kind of holes that they found. It doesn't fit the design that they found here. So either it's later. So They're still doing work on it. We don't know exactly what happened here, but perhaps they will have some answers very soon. So guys, one last shot on the pool of Siloam over here and the new excavation they are doing here. So an ancient retaining wall for gathering water over here, and it's an active dig. So you can see we're at the bottom now. Actually, as we walk out, I'm going to explain it, but I was here. Okie doke. So, you can kind of, if you want to, there's like 3 things you can do here. So there is the path upstairs, which will lead you right to the top. It's a very steep hill. I mean, this car is trying to get up, so you can imagine he's trying to get up, and well, he's doing it, but I'm imagining some cars wouldn't be able. Anyways, we'll continue this path because this will lead us toward the Kidron Valley. If we would go there, we would end up at the top where the city of David is and his palace. And you can take another route, which is over here, this road. It's like a road for cars more, and it also leads you up to next to the Dunn Gate. So in the top over there, that's the Temple Mount area. So, but this is where we were. There's some signs here. Again, I'm now in a very Arab neighborhood. But also here is the beginning of the Hinnom Valley. So Gehenna, this is, we could walk in that direction, and that goes all around this other hill, which is the Western Hill. I did an episode about the Gihon. Oh, that car was fast. About the Gihon Valley.
Okay guys, so let me give you a little bit of an orientation again of where we are and where we are going. So right now we are around here, we just exited the Pool of Siloam area. And I mentioned the Hinnom Valley, that's the route we could take, but that would lead us to Western Jerusalem. So next to Jaffa Gate, for example. But we're gonna take this orange path, which will be the Kidron Valley, that we're gonna take, that will lead us close to the Mount of Olives.
So I wanted to take you here because this is also the beginning of the Hinnom Valley. So Gehenna. It goes all the way around the Western Hill. And this is where the Kidron Valley meets the Hinnom Valley. So but we're going to continue this way, and we're going to go through the Kidron Valley and see the city of David from the other side. So right now, again, I'm in a very Arab neighborhood, so I'll be a little bit more quiet here. So look at those flowers. It's pretty beautiful here. And this is the Arab neighborhood I was telling you about, Silvan. And those houses, again, are built on ancient burial sites of Jewish people. So they're kind of built on a graveyard. There are some really old tombs at the bottom of those houses. So here you can see it. So we were there, and you see the opening there. There's a tomb. And that's already the Temple Mount. So the city of David went here and went up on this ridge. So we're just on the bottom of this ridge here. So some stores here if you need water, but I got water, thankfully. So it really gives you an idea of the shapes in Jerusalem, how everything is formed. Gives you the idea of the valleys. And of course this valley, sometimes called is the Kidron Valley. Sometimes it's called the Dark Valley. So when we imagine David, for example, escaping his son Absalom, he went through this valley. It was a very dark time for him. He had to escape his own son for his life. Many people joined him, but he walked barefoot like kind of I did today. Of course, I'm not David, but he was escaping, he was mourning, and not very joyful time for him. So now we'll be able to enter this park. We'll get out of this Arab neighborhood. So again, those houses are multi-stored and built like several levels. And the way it happens in the Arab culture is that if you marry, you get to build up. So you build above your parents, so you build another level. But eventually, I mean, how much can you build? Especially, look at this. I mean, this can collapse someday. This is very unstable, in my opinion. And look at the dirt here. So trash is thrown here. This is, this is administrated by them basically, because only Arabs live here. So I guess they don't do a lot of cleaning, but look at those tombs over there. That's what I was talking about. There are ancient tombs carved into the hill, and the houses are just above them. Imagine living on graveyard. This is it. So look at this. I mean, this could be beautiful. There's plenty of trash here. I don't know if they collect trash even, or they just throw it out. But yeah, it's destroying the environment. But this is kind of cool view because you can see how steep this ridge goes. So David, when he was in his palace, he had a good view on the valley and everything that was below. So, and this is what I was explaining. So this is Mount of Olives, and this is kind of also Mount of Olives, but it's already built up by this Arab neighborhood. So it's like the same ridge, but it's very different as far as the things you can see, because here, maybe because there were more graves, houses were not built here so much. And here, I mean, you can see this opening over there. There's a cave. I wonder if somebody was in this cave to check it out, what's there. I'm sure there were, but probably not for a long time. So the nature is pretty nice here, and today is a nice day. It's definitely not warm, so it's an exhausting walk if you want to do it, especially as we will get to the end of the valley as we woke up now. So we're making an aliyah. We're walking up toward the Temple Mount. There are, in the Bible, there are the aliyah psalms, psalms of ascent. And they were read on different occasions. For example, for Passover, you would read them. That's Psalms 113 and up till, I believe, 121. And you would read those as you went up towards the Temple Mount. So you can read them. Maybe I'll put some text on the screen as I walk here, and you can kind of imagine this. Extraordinary. Now it's spring, so there's a lot of flowers here. It looks very different. Once again, the view on the graves and the Sylvan neighborhood. But here already we have a more classic look of Mount of Olives, where you see more traditional graves of the Jewish people, the matzevot, the matzevas, the tombstones that are so characteristic to this place. But first, before we even see those, there are some monumental tombs that you can see here. So they're just in front of us now. Once again, now we are just right next to the Temple Mount. So if you can imagine, if you stand here, you are like in the most bottom place, the lowest placed, in correspondence to one of the highest places that we have here on the Temple Mount. This is one of the highest portions of the wall, and it's blocking now even the sun. So you see the valley is blocked now, the sun, and this valley will soon turn very, very dark. It's gonna be the dark valley. Sometimes this valley is also called the Valley of Jehoshaphat, and this is connected to the prophecy from Joel, where it says that the nations will be gathered here and they will be judged. And it's very interesting what they will be judged for. They will be judged for dividing God's land. And if we look at what the United Nations are trying to do, what many countries are trying to do, they are trying to divide this land. So here are some monuments. They are named differently, but it's very symbolic here. This is the Zachariah tomb you see here, and it's called the Nefesh, a monument, and this is from the 1st century BC. So we see a mixture of styles. This is, you can see like a Greek Roman columns here. So it's more like assimilation kind of thing going on here. It's very popular, probably very hip, if you want to say that, to have a tomb like that. But it's not very traditional. It's definitely not what the religious Jewish people would do. So the more rich people that wanted to be like the world, they would have tombs like that. Definitely not something a religious Jewish person would do. So they're close from, as far as dating them, they're 1st century, 2nd century, and they're not the oldest. There are more old tombs here from Iron Age. That would be the caves we saw. And this one over here, we'll see it in a moment, is even called the Absalom's Pillar. Of course, Absalom, I mentioned him. He was not a good character. He was very handsome. He had beautiful hair, and he did a lot of evil. He wanted to overthrow his father. But as he was riding through this valley, his hair caught up in one of the trees, and he hanged himself basically because his hair got stuck on a tree and he couldn't escape. So here we see where we are. So you are here, we are here. You see the Temple Mount above us. We went from there, and we're gonna go quite steep up. We're gonna end up at the top of the Hinnom Valley. So that's the Absalom's Pillar. Of course, it's not from Absalom times. Absalom is, Iron Age. So 1900, BC, 966 BC, something like that. But this is just a traditional name, I guess. They used, we can read about it to confirm. So it dates to the 2nd Temple period. So Absalom, of course, that's before even the 1st Temple. So that's the information. So we're now going to be climbing up. That's already the Church of Mary Magdalene. It's a Russian Orthodox church over here. This is where the tombstones already start. And we're going to get out right next to the Garden of Gethsemane. So I already did that part of the tour. I was on Mount of Olives. If you want to check it out, I'll leave a link in the description, because I do a tour of that area also, where I walk all around the Mount of Olives. So this is still the Kidron Valley here. It's now you know, a closed area. So we're now climbing up, and soon you'll have a good view of the whole valley and the Mount of Olives. So I hope you enjoyed this tour. You can see the Golden Gate now. You see the valley below us. That's where we came from. I hope you had a good time, and let me know what you think of today's tour. If you like more of this content, let me know. It's a long episode, I know, but I hope some of you got to the end with me and we could spend this time together. So thank you so much for being with me today. And as we'll walk, we'll have a last final view of the Kindred Valley. We can't see already the city of David from here because it's behind the hill. This is already the eastern part of the Temple Mount, and the city of David is facing the southern part of the Temple Mount. So I know a good view. So that's the Church of Nations, the Garden of Gethsemane, and here is our last final view. On the Kidron Valley here. So you can see some of the signs. Sylvan, that's the neighborhood over there. Some of the ridges, other hills we see from here, the Pillar of Absalom. That's another path that leads closer to the Dung Gate. And of course there's bird remains here, but behind that there's the old city. We have the Golden Gate over here, and of course below is the Kidron Valley. That's the Church of Saint Stephen, where traditionally it is believed that he was, you know, I say saint, but I mean that's the Catholic terminology. So Stephen, where he was stoned. So anyways, it's a nice day. I still have some walking to do, but I'm gonna finish here. So I hope you enjoyed this. Again, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next episode. Shalom. If you want to help me more, the best way to do it is through Patreon or through my webpage. I will leave both links below in the description of this video. Additionally, if you really like my content, you can sign up for an email that will notify you every time I release a new video. If you want to do that, you will also find a link in the description of this video. So that way you won't miss an episode. And lastly, you can also follow me on social media. This is where I share much more about the development and what is happening in Israel, things that perhaps I cannot share on other platforms. So check it out, check out my social media channels. Saying all of that, now I just want to wish you a good day. See you in the next episode. Shalom.